I kid you not. My reaction upon seeing this tweet posted this afternoon by John Shannon, featuring a brand new interview with Jim Rutherford on the 100% Hockey Podcast with Millard and Shannon. My reaction upon seeing this video was, oh my god, he did it again? He did another one? Ladies and gentlemen, Vancouver Canucks president of hockey operations Jim Rutherford has just made another appearance on the 100% Hockey Podcast, and he dives into a lot of things Vancouver Canucks related, so we have to do our part. We have to go out there and acknowledge what it is that he said, but there's a little bit of a problem, because the guy went out there and said a lot. It's a 40-minute interview. Vancouver Canucks news summaries, big shout out to him, big, glorious, all the prosperity in the world deserving shout out to Canucks news summaries, who went out there and summarized in 2 parts what it is that Jim Rutherford said on this podcast. So let's go out there and take a little bit of a look. Let's not dive into everything because, again, it's a 40-minute interview. There's not substance in every single thing that he says, but there is enough where it's like, yeah, we got a lot to talk about here. So let's start things out with training camp. Jim Rutherford went onto the program to talk about how the Canucks are getting into the most important part of training camp where decisions have to be made. They've got some good young players ready to make the team. And he also praises the drafting under Todd Harvey and the development team in preparing them. There's Todd Harvey, the Vancouver Canucks director of amateur scouting, essentially the replacement for Judd Brackett, going out there and getting some praise, and rightfully so. I mean, Brackett was seen as a very good drafter, but I think Harvey's been doing a pretty good job as of late. Rutherford says the Canucks are a little bit caught between the future and the present, and they will have some tough decisions to make. He also believes there are 3 forward spots available and 2 to 3 battles for defensive spots. All the players have had a competitive camp. Now that checks out. 3 forward spots available. You got the 1 fourth line left winger spot that was always up for grabs. You have Nils Höglander's spot that is now up for grabs because of his injury, and Connor Garland is also not available too, so 3 spots makes sense. And on defense, you've got the 2 bottom pair spots available with P.O. Joseph, Forbort, Elias Pettersson, Mancini, and Villander all fighting for it. Rutherford speaks out about Quinn Hughes. They need to make the Canucks as appealing as possible for Quinn. Young players needed to help the team make the playoffs, and the coaches prefer veteran players. He also wants to make their center ice depth stronger, so there you go. Vancouver could be in the market for a center. Speaking about centers, Rutherford says that Elias Pettersson has done what he needed to do this summer. He had a really good offseason physically and mentally. Rutherford believes in Filipino and thinks that he could be their second-line center as long as he stays healthy. As for Ratu and Bluger, being the other 2 centers on the roster, they're there, but the Canucks would still feel much more comfortable if they could add another center. So, there you go. Vancouver's trade plan being perfectly on blast there. They're looking for a center, even though they're comfortable with the ones that they have. Let's move on to this other one here regarding Quinn Hughes and the season. His decision won't come until next offseason, Rutherford says. He also feels the Canucks have improved over the last campaign. Rutherford questions whether or not the team has enough players to compete and contend, but he says the players look at this as well. Goodness, he's really laying it out there, right? It's important for Hughes to know that the Canucks are heading in the right direction. Rutherford says that sometimes he gets in trouble for being too honest, but doesn't shy away from conversations about Hughes' future because everyone is going to talk about it. He calls it a huge story for the Canucks, and he's giving his honest opinion about Quinn Hughes. He doesn't have anything to talk about with Hughes' agent since he can't extend his contract until July 1st next year, and both the player and the team are focused on winning hockey games. Man, this is total elephant in the room territory, is it not? Yes, of course, what you're saying might be what everybody is thinking, but does that mean it needs to be said? I don't know. Not really too sure about that, Jim, but still, He's going out there and being even more honest about his honesty regarding Quinn Hughes and the potential of him playing somewhere else. Projecting the Canucks, Jim Rutherford says that no one knows where the Canucks fit into the Western Conference, and he says they haven't played any games, and that's why you play them. He feels strongly that the Canucks are a very competitive team, and with their goaltending, anything can happen in the playoffs. Rutherford also spoke about Braden Cootes, the number one young player who has made an impact in Vancouver this preseason. The Canucks are having meetings over the next 3 days. Foote will tell Alvin about where Cootes fits into the team. The organization will have to make a decision about Cootes' future. They don't want to lose any development time, and he may be capable of helping the Vancouver Canucks. So, a lot of the conversations that us fans are having, seems like the Canucks internally are also having them, so that obviously is an optimistic sign. Now, we might need to start going turbo mode because there are so many extra notes. Look at this. Pettersson, Demko, adding a center, Kane, the mood of the team, the Abbotsford Canucks, Brock Besser, the style of hockey that the Canucks are going to play, Adam Foote and the coaching staff, team strengths, concerns at center, and the practice facility, Marc-Andre Fleury too. This guy says so much in this one podcast episode. There's some optimism about Petey, optimism about Thatcher Demko. Pettersson had a really good summer. He prepared himself to be much better this season. He's bulked up and he's stronger. Thatcher Demko, you can never say a hockey player is 100% healthy, but the injuries he has dealt with are behind him. He also adjusted his training program and is in a very good place mentally and physically. There's a big emphasis by Rutherford on adding a center. Prices are always going to be high. There are not a lot of players that teams are actually looking for. They need to step up and pay a price when a player becomes available. They're okay at center. We can get through it with our centers. But he talks about adding another center and moving one of the current centers to the wing. It'll give more roster flexibility. He's comfortable with Hedl as the second-line center, but they still want more center depth. The more depth you have, the better chance you have to make the playoffs. Just keep that in the back of your mind as we continue over here. There are some conversations about Evander Kane. Lots to like out of him and his game. High expectations for Kane because they know what he is capable of doing. Kane wants to play after this season, and he's in the last year of a contract. He believes that he will be a difference maker. Where he plays is up to the coaching staff. The mood of the team, calmer and a better place. They want to succeed together and support each other. Tonally, there's a different feel from last season, and he also thinks there's some anxiousness and nervousness from last season's training camp that affected the team in a negative way. There's a conversation about Abby, pretty good, 2 years development for the player, and they play for such a long time and the games are higher stakes. Then for Brock Besser, there's a conversation about how he's got impact on the room, one of the most likable guys on the team. It was important to bring him back. They always had hopes they could re-sign him. I wasn't going out and placing a bet that he was going to re-sign. I knew that he wanted to stay in Vancouver, Rutherford said. Then when it comes to the style of hockey the Canucks will play, not overly physical, but they will be a skating team focused on pressuring the puck. We've already seen throughout the preseason that Vancouver's style is a lot different now compared to when Rick Tocchet was at the helm, so very, very optimistic for what the future has in store. Then you switch over to the next part. This is part 2 of what Rutherford goes out there and talks about. Adam Foote and the coaching staff, team strengths, defense and goaltending. I mean, that does check out, right? I mean, the Canucks are really strong up on the back end. He compares Adam Foote to Rod Brind'Amour. Okay, that's going to be pretty interesting. Brind'Amour plays a pretty good style in Carolina. We'll see if Adam Foote can replicate that. Concerns at center. The Canucks need better depth at forward, especially at center ice. He says that Sasson has had a good camp and that Alman is a safe player. Really believes in Mueller, but he missed training camp. He also says Braden Cootes is very smart, fast, and competes. He's made it very difficult for the Canucks. Rutherford is sure that the Seattle Thunderbirds are hoping that Cootes gets back soon. Rutherford doesn't want a young player like Cootes to lose confidence over the season, and he doesn't want to be automatic that they would send him to the AHL if there was an option. He doesn't like the proposed rule of allowing one 19-year-old to play in the AHL. Based on Braden Cootes' camp, Rutherford will be surprised if he wasn't in the NHL next season, even if he's sent back to the WHL now. He doesn't mind load managing Cootes in the NHL as long as he's not sitting too long. That would be up to the coaching staff. And then finally, we had ourselves one more slide. Practice facility stuff. Okay, honestly, I don't really want to talk about the practice facility. It's been beaten to the death here in Vancouver, but during the season, the Canucks did spend a lot of time in Rogers Arena. There's also a 6 to 8 week period where it's important to have a practice facility externally. So, hey, ownership looks like they want to get this figured out, and Vancouver might be on the cusp of trying to get things going in that department. So let's just keep our eyes peeled. Then Rutherford goes out there and talks about Fleury. He loved the situation in Pittsburgh against Columbus with Fleury, and he couldn't be happier for him. Rutherford also says at the bottom that he had tried to reacquire Fleury back to Pittsburgh after getting him to Vegas. So, yeah, that's some extra insider info for you there. With that in mind, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about everything that Jim Rutherford went out there and said in 40 minutes of a podcast episode. I'm not even too sure that this video was going to be less than, let's say, 10 minutes, but still, there's a lot to get into. If you enjoyed this video, then hey, please click the like button. If you didn't, then please click dislike. Big shout out over to Canucks News Summaries for always giving us the scoop. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.